Welcome back to Panorama Anime. Today I will be continuing my recap of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. In the last episode, Satoru Mikami, an average banker from Japan, was killed by a random assailant and has been transported into another world, reincarnating as a puny slime, what is usually considered a low-level monster. After spending some time inside a mysterious cave and gaining a wide variety of skills, Mikami befriended the catastrophe-class storm dragon Veldora, who was imprisoned for 300 years. By establishing a friendship with Veldora, Mikami gained the name Rimuru Tempest from the storm dragon as his new family name, with Veldora taking the surname Tempest as well. With his newly acquired powers, Rimuru ventures out of the cave to explore the world, liberating a small goblin settlement from the dire wolves terrorizing them, and eventually becoming the monster's glorious leader. The development that Rimuru brought to the goblin community led him to meet the genius dwarven artisans Kaijin, Garm, Dord, and Murd, who then relocated into his prospering nation, which led to an even more rapid growth in their growing community of monsters. Soon after, Rimuru met a peerless warrior and a legendary hero of this world, a fellow Japanese citizen, Shizue Izawa. Just like him, Shizue came from Japan. But unlike Mikami, she was summoned through the use of magic by a demon lord named Leon Cromwell, whereas the former was reincarnated. She was only 4 years old when she was summoned into the world, and the demon lord Leon forcefully fused her frail and injured body with the superior fire spirit Ifrit, possessing her soul completely. When an assassin attacked Leon, he used Shizue as a bodyguard to kill him, turning the foolish enemy into a roasted Kentucky Fried Chicken meal. Shizue's immediate performance exceeded Leon's expectations and acknowledged a potential in her. He asked for Shizue's name, and the shocked kid can only mutter her first name, incompletely. Leon didn't understand her name, or rather he was confused by it, so instead he declared Shizue's name to be Shizu moving forward. Shizu became a personal aide to the demon lord a couple of years later, granting her immense power while serving as a bodyguard. One day she ventured outside and met Pirino, another one of the summoned children under the demon lord's care, who took in a fox-like monster as a pet, naming it Pitsu. Shizu loved Pitsu and really adored the little guy, but was worried when Pirino insisted on taking the monster pet inside Cromwell's castle. She knows Leon doesn't take kindly to beasts, named or not. Her fears were soon realized when Pitsu became agitated at Leon's presence. After all, he is a demon lord. His commanding presence alone can send monsters into an uncontrollable rampage due to his immense and intimidating aura. However, this threatening behavior caused Shizu's power to be activated forcefully, overtaking her consciousness and replacing it with Ifrits as the spirit labels both Pirino and Pitsu as threats to the demon lord. Ifrit burned both Pirino and Pitsu, turning the poor kid and her pet into dust as they bathed in the eternal flames of hell. Shizu immediately regained consciousness and realized what just transpired. She can do nothing but fall to her knees in shock. But it was just a dream, a terrible memory of the past, and a haunting reminder of why she became the hero known as the Conqueror of the Flames. Not a lot of people know about her past as a demon lord bodyguard, but Shizu traveled the continent for decades, helping people whenever she can. As she wakes up from her dream, Ifrit's power almost got out, nearly repeating the grim history of her past. Shizu realizes she can't be hanging around with people any longer as she grows weaker and weaker each day, which means as days go by, the power she mastered to control and suppress Ifrit might one day backfire on her and her allies. She decides to permanently leave Eren's party, and despite Rimuru's attempt to convince her to stay, Shizu must part with Eren and the blooming town. It was a short but everlasting memory for her as she realizes how fun it is to be with a group of people. Shizu tells Rimuru it might spell trouble for them if she continues to stay with them, and besides, she needs to accomplish her goal, to find the man who summoned her into the world. Rimuru asks what she'll do once she finds the man, but Shizu cannot give him a concrete answer, so he doesn't press her any further. Instead, Rimuru reminds her that she's welcome to visit the town whenever possible, but just as the group was about to leave, Shizu suddenly loses her control of Ifrit once more, releasing a beam of fire that summons dark grey clouds. As she ascends slowly, Shizu unleashes a massive explosion and envelops her immediate surrounding with a firewall. Due to this attack, Eren's companion immediately recognizes Shizu's previous hero status as Shizue Izawa. She was a renowned hero of the Bloomen's Adventurers Guild 50 years ago and has the moniker Conqueror of the Flames due to her quote-unquote absolute control of the superior spirit of fire, Ifrit. Seeing the situation devolving slowly into a catastrophe, Rimuru orders both Rigurd and Rigur to evacuate the civilians as he's going to deal with Shizue, who has now transformed into Ifrit. After coming out of his vessel, Ifrit immediately erupts in anger, unleashing a massive shockwave decimating the surrounding area and flame geysers shooting out from the ground, summoning 3 salamanders who proceed to light up the destroyed goblin village. Seeing the danger they're about to face, Rimuru orders Eren and her teammates to get out of the battlefield while they can. But Kabaru stands up and tells Rimuru they can't do that. Guido adds that they can't abandon her because she's one of them. And so the group prepares to fight the superior fire spirit with all the strength they have. Rimuru understands their motivation and doesn't argue any further. However, he warns the group not to overdo things. Before fighting Ifrit, he asks the spirit what it wants, but Ifrit answers with a fireball instead. And so Rimuru responds with a water blade spell in kind. But against a superior fire spirit, the attack simply evaporates. The salamanders keep him in check as they attack Rimuru repeatedly, forcing him to summon Ranga while crafting a plan on how to deal with both Ifrit and the salamanders chasing him. There's an option to use all the water he soaked in Veldora's cave, but the steam explosion would result in catastrophic levels of destruction, which he's trying to avoid in the first place. But upon observing Eren's Icicle Lance spell in action, which is particularly effective against the salamanders, Rimuru has the brilliant idea of acquiring the spell through appraisal. He immediately tells Eren to fire the Icicle Lance in his direction so he can gobble it up and learn the same spell. After a few seconds of taking the attack, Rimuru obtains the Icicle Lance. He and Ranga circles around the remaining salamanders, creating a trail of ice shards which eventually form multiple Icicle Lance spells, creating his personal Icicle Lance Icicle Shotgun. The spell immediately obliterates the 2 salamanders in one go, while the remaining salamander forcefully explodes in front of Eren's party. The 3 adventurers are somewhat safe, but heavily injured from the explosion, so Rimuru orders Ranga to take them to safety as he's about to solo Ifrit. As soon as Ranga's out of range, Rimuru faces Ifrit once and for all. In return, Ifrit summons multiple copies of himself, encircling Rimuru's ground with searing hot flames. Rimuru counterattacks with Icicle Shotgun, eliminating all of the copies except the real Ifrit. But this is just a setup for Ifrit, as Rimuru activates the spirit's trap spell Flare Circle, enveloping him in the scorching tornado of flames. Rimuru panics, thinking it's the end of his uneventful life. But in reality, it's not over yet for the slime isekai protagonist. Thanks to his thermal fluctuation skill, he takes no damage whatsoever from the attack. Rimuru binds Ifrit, who tries to leave thinking he's already toasted with his sticky thread skill. But much to Ifrit's surprise, the slime protagonist is coated in a plot armor skill as he emerges from the flame tornado. Rimuru ends the fight by using his unique skill Predator, devouring the superior fire spirit Ifrit completely, and gaining new skills from this spirit acquisition. After the fight, Shizue lies unconscious on the ground, exhausted completely from her separation from Ifrit, while the spirit becomes permanently trapped in Rimuru's body, who was then welcomed by Veldora himself. And that brings us to the end of this episode of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. If you want to find out what happens next, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Panorama Anime and comment for the next episode.